Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call the Town of Cedar Lake Plan Commission work session to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Hunley?
Here.
Ms. Dessauer? Present. Mr. Wolkenine is absent. Mr. Capura?
Present.
Mr. Oliphant?
Present.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Bundy?
Here.
Mr. Conley?
Present.
Mr. Kubiak?
Here.
Ms. Titus is present.
Where's Mr. Wilkins?
I don't know. Ride this motorcycle. Okay, old business, Starcevich, preliminary plat. Owner petitioner Denny Starcevich, 8601 West 141st Lane, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Vicinity of 8601 West 141st Lane, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Request a plat for one lot subdivision.
Hi, how you guys doing? Daniel Starcevich, 8601 West 141st Lane, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Back when we first started this process, my wife and I came to this committee trying to resub our 5 lots into 2. At that time, we came with a concept plan, and the Planning Commission wanted to see what we were going to build and where we were going to build it. So my survey team got a site layout, and we turned that into the BZA, which they approved all the variances needed to move forward on the project. Now, on February 5th, we came looking for a preliminary approval, but on that date, Don didn't have the preliminary plat, and my application wasn't fully submitted. So now today, on March 5th, Don has seen the plat, him and his team gave their feedback, and I sent it over to my surveyors. My application is turned in, and now with your guys' approval, I'm looking forward to get that final plat made, turned in, and then hopefully we can start some construction here soon, shortly. But that's what we're looking to do.
Good job, we have nothing to do now.
Yeah, it's been a long process, but we're getting there.
We just issued another letter today. A lot of the items were approved. There's some stuff for staff to review, including addresses, water availability, stuff like that, but we should be ready in 2 weeks for preliminary plat.
Okay, the building department have anything?
Nope, I agree with everything you said. It looks good. I know the variances were approved as presented. What he ended up getting variances for the existing non-conformity of that existing house by splitting the lot up, and all that has been approved, so he's ready to go. We talked about a well. We didn't know if he had a well or public or subdivision water at that.
Yeah, there's a Noble Oaks private well for our subdivision.
Right, so you're hooked to that.
Yes, yes, sir.
That's what we weren't sure. I know he had a comment about the well. We talked about that earlier, but so basically he's just gonna hook up to that Noble Oaks water system, so all good.
I know we hashed it out pretty much. Commissioners have any comments?
No, sir.
Nope. Well, I guess if you just meet those couple of items that Don has there in the next 2 weeks, and we'll see you back here and see if we can't take some action on it.
Awesome, thank you guys very much.
Okay, thank you.
You guys have a good night.
You too. Number 2, plot for a one-lot subdivision, NIPSCO Hagar Station. Owner petitioner, Northern Public Service Company, 801 East 86th Avenue, Maryville, Indiana, 46410. Vicinity of 10501 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner's requesting a site plan approval for NIPSCO Hagar Substation. And
They requested a deferral.
they requested a deferral
Yep.
till the next work session.
They didn't specify that.
They have requested to have a private meeting, so we'll look into that. I forwarded the information on to David. He's got that. David and I discussed a little bit about it, but we'll get back to you when we know more.
So you let us know when we'll probably have it on our next agenda.
Whether or not we'll have it on our next.
You will let us know when it comes.
All right, so then I'll entertain a motion to defer this until further notice.
This is a work session, we don't have to.
Oh,
No.
sorry.
Well, can I
Yeah.
just ask one question?
Yes.
Since this has been in front of us on our agenda multiple times, are you saying that you're taking care of it now as the town, and it's no longer on our agenda, or?
Planning Commission's still the Planning Commission, you'll still get it. This is a request by the developer for a review meeting, staff level. That's all. It's not out of your hands.
Can I ask just one more question? So, instead of spending town staff time on this, what is the problem with just coming and just producing a plan, a site plan, and just doing it the normal?
Well, Heather, you can't make somebody come to your meetings. That would be the problem. They have asked for an opportunity to meet with staff in advance of coming back to public meetings. I think that's the sequence, isn't it, Terry?
Yeah, and that's it, but they also have divvied up the responsibility on the Hagar portion to a couple of different entities in NIPSCO, to where we had a private meeting with the engineers today, and we worked out some of the issues that Don had on the proposal, and I think we came to some type of an agreement on how to move forward on what they're going to do there. But we'll know more when we know more. Right now, this is the course of action I think they'd like to pursue, and that's about the best way I could put it, David. I don't want us to say other than that.
I hope the word private doesn't get in the way of the thought process. Private is not what this is. Part of the process, it's almost as though they were starting over and starting at the beginning with discussion. I wouldn't consider that legally or otherwise private. It would be part of the process, not illegal for sure. So, and it's just got dropped on us.
Just sounds like they want to get all their ducks in a row before they present something to us.
Or put our ducks in a row,
Yeah.
if they think they can.
To me, it sounds like they don't want to be here, and they want to be there. That's how it sounds to me, that's why I'm asking the question.
And that's not unfair, we'll find that out.
Fair enough?
Any other comments? Okay, moving on. Number 3, Hen and Son Concept Plan. Owner petitioner, Tom and Barb Little, 9601 West 135th Place, Cedar Lake, Indiana, vicinity of 13318 Wicker Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting a concept plan for an existing building. Good evening. Hi, Rob.
Hi, John. I'm here with Tom Littles and Barb. I'm representing or going to present because I do own the property, of course. But Tom's here to answer any questions about what he needs and what he needs to do in there.
How do we know who you are? Run us your name and address.
Yes, I skipped that part. Rob Hen, 13455 Parish Avenue, Cedar Lake.
Thank you.
Tommy Littles, 9602 West 135th Place.
Barbara Littles, 9602 West 135th Place.
Okay.
Well, as you see there, we here for concept plan. Tom needs another day on the body shop there at 13318 Wicker. He's the property just off of McDonald's, and we have it's got a car lot in the front. It's got a body shop in the back. All Tire is just to the south of that. And even though it's 2 separate parcels, we own both parcels and all 3 businesses, or all 3 buildings that are leased out. That property's been exactly that for 60 years. It used to be Quasbarth Motors, and the building that Tom's in was Quasbarth's body shop. The building that all Tire is in was Quasbarth's mechanic shop. And of course, Quasbarth had the car lot up front. There was also used to be, Quasbarth's house used to be right in front of All Tire, but we tore it down a few years ago. We've been in a couple of times regarding this property, or this property and the adjacent one. We came in a few years back when we put the large addition and remodeled the All Tire, and we came in a couple years ago to help resolve some parking issues on the car lot, Grand Prize Auto up front. So now we're in, because Tom asked, he's in the body shop in the rear, and he needs one more bay for a lot of reasons that I'll let him go into. But I want to talk about the uniqueness of that property. When we ran into it before, it's a, you know, older place, and it's very difficult to meet all the requirements. If we were to try to go into I mean with Terry, if we try to go for, you know, one lot subdivision, and that triggers all the things that we can't meet, you know, we would have to seek a bunch of waivers for drainage, waivers for parking, waivers for setbacks, a lot of different things. It would be my hope, or my ask, I guess, is that there was a way, since this is a small addition, on that building, and there's no change of use or anything going on here, that if we could maybe get a waiver from the entire site plan and be allowed to just go and work with the building department to get a building permit to do this small addition, and not have to try to ask for, you know, 5 or 6 waivers. So that's our thinking.
Does this, come under the chapter 17 that was just approved?
It does, it's poster child for it, as I'm sure Rob will explain to you.
So therefore, they can work directly with the building department, right?
Concept
or
plan has a
with
procedure, it
Terry?
has a path, it has requirements.
You still have to approve it, you could waive it, right?
Well, they can waive things that are requested that
Yeah.
may not be necessary, or may not make it work, or whatever. That's their burden, explain it, share it, show it, provide it.
How big of an addition we talking about?
1,000 square feet, 24 by 40. It should be in
It's
It's just on the,
I don't have it in my packet.
On the computer.
Yeah.
Look at number 3. Hold on a little bit more, it's there.
It's just another bay on the east side of the building.
So the 40 foot is the width of the existing building.
40 foot is the width.
You got it, Greg?
I'm looking.
And then, you know, in that,
Yeah, I do have it, it's just not in order. I see it now.
They drew up a little thing, do you guys want me to give you these? Just kind of show you where it's from.
I have it
Yeah,
now.
Okay.
we have it on the
Okay.
computer.
So the building's 40 foot deep already, you just wanna put 20 feet on the end of it,
24 feet.
24 feet on the end of it.
And there's some reasons for that, and I'll let Tom explain that. We'll go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna give you these, because these have the
I have
diagrams
a
of what
little
he's
bit
talking
better
about.
view on how it works, but, so, with all the new technology they're putting in these vehicles, so one of the main ones is they call it ADAS, so it's Advanced Driver's Assistance Systems. And anytime a car gets in an accident now, after the repairs, you gotta do these calibrations.
Thank you.
And currently, we've been sending them out. I've had a couple mishaps where we get the car back and it's got a rock chip in the hood that we just painted. So now we gotta redo that because you can't deliver it to the customer with a rock chip, because it had to be brought to one facility, you know, to be calibrated. And then another one where it was a Honda Acura, and calibration requires that the calibration be done before the bumper's put on. So we have to put the bumper on the car, send it to this third party. They do a calibration, they take the bumper off, do the calibration, put the bumper back on, bring it back. So they're breaking clips, so they're messing with the paint. So it's like being disassembled, reassembled. So that's problematic. So we're trying to do it in-house. And we have the equipment to do it, but we need so much space in front of the vehicle to be able to set up the targets. And some of them, I think one of the things that are in here is 16 feet for one, Nissans, for example. Hondas are a little bit more. So with that space, you can't have anything metal in that path, because then the adaptive cruise picks up that metal and it won't calculate, so that it cancels it. So, and then the floor's gotta be, they say within 3 millimeter, could be off here and there. But right now, we don't even have the space to be able to get enough room in front of the car to set up the target. We tried to do it out in the parking lot, but the parking lot's really on a decline, and it would cancel it out every time.
Some of these cars got 30 sensors in each bumper.
What's that again?
Some of these new cars got 30, in excess of 30 sensors in each front rear bumper. So I understand what.
Correct.
The
Yeah.
technology.
And then there was lane departure, which is in your windshield. I mean, pretty much you might all be driving vehicles that have these features in there. And after the collision, you've got to do all these calibrations, otherwise we're in it's a safety thing. And that we can be So if somebody does, if they rely on that feature and it doesn't work, then they can come back at us. So it's kind of like the finishing end, we do all the collision, get everything right, but then I'll dial it back in, it's like reprogramming the computer so it all works right. And that's part of this calibration process. So we have to have so much space, and right now we got a frame machine that's literally eating up that space. That's probably our deepest point. And the machine's gonna pick up the calibration every time. So if we can move the frame machine over into another space, it gives us that initial 30 feet, we are for 40 feet. 40 feet that we already currently have. In another space to put the frame machine would be fine. Or leave the frame machine where it's at, just have a full-on stall to be able to just do the calibrations over there.
Will the addition be on the west side of the building?
East.
East side?
Yeah,
Towards 41?
Yeah.
correct.
Between that building and the Grand Prize Cars, which is currently being used for parking. Is that Grand Prize Cars?
Yeah, but I couldn't see it too well here.
Probably half of that, there's like 80 feet between Tom's building and Grand Price Cars building, and they kind of split it. He parks a couple back there.
Well, there's quite a few cars, there's overhead, there's quite a few cars parked there. So how is this addition gonna affect?
Well, so the other part of the addition is gonna help also be able to get in more vehicles and get them done faster, get the cycle time dropped down.
Yeah, I'm good.
Because right now,
Thank
the
you.
cycle time's being extended, because as the town's been growing, more and more vehicles are showing up, and we're getting kind of loaded up. We can only bring so many in the building, especially in the wintertime when it's cold and you can't really, it takes longer to get the cars done, paint dries a little slower. So if we had more room, we could get more in and get them out and moving instead of sitting there.
Well, basically, the ones that are sitting outside now will be in this.
Yeah, they're waiting to be inside to be worked on, so that's the other part, yeah. So just trying to grow with the town. That's what it's coming to.
Building department have anything on this concept?
No, I mean, just a lot of stuff in a small space, but, I mean, like you said, if the cars, I guess my concern is just the parking and making sure that stuff works in there is all. I get it, I mean, I understand where he's coming from 100%, and, if those couple cars are in the shop instead of in those parking spaces, I guess it, is what it is. It's just
Which
a lot of stuff.
would allow to bring somebody else in also to work on cars, because they got no more room to put a tech to be able to actually work on another car.
So, I'm in and out of there a lot, and I never see it where it's impassable or anything like that.
You gotta understand, his business model is not gonna change at all. Basically, he has, 2 employees, 3 employees, including yourself.
Yes.
And there's never more than 2 customers there, so that's 5 parking spots. Now granted, he uses the parking spots between him and Grand Price for the cars that are waiting to get in the shop. But I'm talking cars that are coming and going every day, you're only talking about 5. Same he has now, and that won't change with the new field addition. He'll still only need those that many parking spots.
Was he given a maximum number of cars that he could have there when he got occupancy originally?
The car lot?
Or no, for the body shop?
No. It was always a body shop, and when he got occupancy originally,
So there's
really no. Now, the car lot you limited
Yes.
when we came in.
I knew that, because
We
there's
put the
been-
bollards in and we cleaned up that lane.
Heard all about those issues, and I know you've had to address them a few times.
And you saw we put all those bollard pipes in direct traffic, so we got all that cleaned up. So basically, like I said, we're hoping to get a waiver from the entire site plan procedure, because it's a small addition, and just be able to work with the building department to do the addition. Because if we go the other route with you, we'll have to seek waivers for everything. So let's just do one waiver and be done with it, if we could.
Will this affect drainage?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, anything affects drainage, but most of that lot is paved already, hard surface. It all sheet flows. There are drains between All Tire and Tom's. There's parking lot drains right down the middle of the parking lot, basically, right along the property line. And that's all goes to the front ditch. And the whole place sheet flows to the front ditch. Now granted, this area where the addition is going is now gravel, and it will be now a building, but I mean, it's a small area, and everything obviously sheet flows to the ditch already.
Flows to 41, right?
Correct.
That was my question too, but Don, can you answer that question?
It looks like it's crowned. So kind of goes south, kind of goes east, to their southeast corner.
So covering up another
I mean, the reason we waived it for the southern lot was because it was an offset, because they were putting in parking lot, over green space, and they were supposed to restore the rear back to green space, but that is not what happened out there.
What did happen?
I can
Not
explain that.
green back there anymore.
Well, what happened there was, we originally came in, we got approval to do the more parking in the front and no parking in the rear for all tire. Then what happened after all that, at the time, who was the town manager? Everly, Mr. Everly was the town manager before Chris. And I guess, the neighbor, Butch Stoll, came in and threw a fit. He didn't want that parking lot of all tire. He lives in the home to the south. He did not want that parking lot extending beyond in front of his house. Well, we already were approved to do that. Well, to make it work and to make everything smooth over with the neighbors, Rick decided to have a meeting with me and Mr. Stoll and himself, and he decided to shorten the parking lot up in the front and allow him to park in the back. And that's how that ended up playing out, because the neighbor did not want the parking lot to extend. Where he was sitting in his living room, he'd see the cars, you know, out his front window. So that's how that changed.
That is accurate, I remember that incident for sure, so that is what happened.
It's just another incident of something that's approved, and then another meeting that happens, and suddenly that's not what happens.
Yeah.
But on paper, that's what's supposed to happen. I understand your point 100%, but from my standpoint, we spend time up here to approve something or not. That's the path, and then there's another meeting that happens, so suddenly it's off the rails, and all we have is what was approved for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand your point, Heather. It was, you know, way after the fact. I mean, it had been approved for a year by that point, and we had already had the building done. He was in there, and we had to finish up the parking lot because we had to wait for NIPSCO to move the gas meters. The gas meters used to be all up in the front, right out in the parking lot. So we had to wait like 6-8 months. In fact, I had to get Jill, at the time she was the town administrator, I had to have her, or the planning director, whatever she was, I had to have her get a hold of NIPSCO for me to put some pressure on them because they wouldn't move the gas meter. So that affected the whole parking lot. So the parking lot didn't go in for like a year afterward. And that's when Mr. Stoll, so it was like a year and a half after the approval when this all blew up. And then, you know, Rick, being the town manager that he was, just kind of grabbed a hold of it and cured the problem. He just grabbed a hold of it and made it work. And it made Mr. Stoll happy next door, and it worked for everybody else.
David, you got something? No?
So, to circle back, Don, though, how does that affect, we were talking about drainage and what was supposed to happen and what didn't happen, and like, how does that affect this addition?
There's most likely, when we're talking about lot one, which is the south, there's most likely more impervious than there was existing. I don't see how this lot is any different from the one that you guys made to a one lot sub. I mean, this is 1,000 square foot addition, the other one was 1,200. This is a meets and bounds parcel. I don't understand why you'd make one do it and not the other. It's a permanent structure. Historically, this plan commission has made legal, basically, make it become a legal lot of record if there's a structure being constructed through the building permit being pulled. But it's your purview to waive that requirement. I'm just letting you know. I don't see the difference.
Well, if we honor his request and waiver everything and send it, let him work directly with Mr. Conley, we're in essence giving him all the variances that he'd have to go after separately.
Yeah, I mean, if you do subdivide it, you have to get non-conforming variances effectively. I get it, but.
Yeah, we just thought it was a simpler solution. To give you guys an idea of the future of this property, because I know nobody likes the car lot and the body shop there. And of course, it wouldn't have been that way, it's just been that way forever. You know, we kind of inherited it that way. But our future plan moving forward is, all three businesses there are great businesses. You know, Tom, long-term, all tire, they'll be there forever. Grand Price Cars, you know, he's a good tenant. He's been there for 10 years or 12 years. Our intention is when Norman at the Grand Price decides to not have a car lot anymore, we're not going to have a car lot there again. what we would probably do at that point then is remodel, come in and do a full-blown plan, remodel that front building, that is now the car lot. That would free up all that front parking for all the businesses, so we have additional parking. So that's our plan down the road, but obviously we got a good tenant in, Mr. Majeski, the Grand Price Cars. So as long as he wants to stay there, we'll leave it the way it is, everybody there gets along real well. But if someday he decides to move, that will never be a car lot again, and then we'll come in and do, you know, everything at that point, because we'll have to do something different with that front building to make it not a car lot, and then you don't have 30 cars parked up there. It could be a small office that can be rented out to somebody, where we would only need a few parking spots. So that's a grand plan moving forward. So we just thought it would be expedient and easier for you and us, of course, instead of doing all them waivers and variances, just give us a waiver for the site plan now, and then we wouldn't have to go through, you know, all those drainage.
Well, it's 6 foot after the other, you're asking for a basket of waivers over here, or you're asking for us to lay it out on the counter and give you each one at a time, because it's all gonna wind up with the same waiver.
Yeah, it's just gonna.
And when your long-term plan is when you, if the car lot does move out, and then you're gonna, remodel that place and do everything, you're gonna have to make it into a one-lot subdivision.
Yeah, then we would at that point, because at that point, I'd have a better handle of what would go up there. You know, right now, everything's gonna stay the
But a
same.
one-lot subdivision doesn't mean that you have to know what you're doing, it just means that you're cleaning up, the property, making a one-lot subdivision, getting rid of the meets and bounds.
No, you're absolutely correct. Other than we have to come in and get all those other waivers, you know.
So
We gotta stack them or we get one. One would just seems much easier.
yeah, but what are all the waivers you're gonna need?
Well, we'll probably need parking for sure. We'll probably need drainage. We might need some setbacks, and we've got 2 businesses on 1 lot. So I mean, there's 4 right there, and I don't like, I think maybe some more. There might be some, you know, at that point, then there might be some lighting, but we do definitely need 4 for sure, I would think, or more.
There's multiple ways to look at this. I mean, there's a lot outside now that won't be outside if there's an addition to the building. His business continues in its same use form. There's really no way to get any drainage in there with the footprint the way that it is now. And at the end of the day, until it gets redeveloped at some point, it's been there forever.
I understand all that, Greg, I just state the facts.
Yeah, I understand. And here's the other downside. And Altair had the same problem. He said, either I need to expand this building to meet my business needs, or I gotta leave town. And I don't wanna see that, anything like that either. Because there's limited space available for businesses like this in this community. So.
Yeah, there is nowhere in town for a body shop to go. The only place you can go is there or Railside. No, body shop can't go anywhere.
Getting too old.
You gotta say yes, you gotta argue.
A little too old.
It's unfortunate because as a presentation, it makes complete sense for your business. But this whole property has so much to it, and I don't love to hear that what we decided on years ago just was dismissed at town level, and so that was never changed.
Well, it was pretty minor too, Heather. I mean, it was minor. You were talking a couple parking spots. I mean, it wasn't a major change. It was just cutting short so it didn't go in front of his house. The parking lot's still up in the front, was still put in with some drainage, but it was not extended, you know, further to
Yeah,
41.
I understand, but I asked this question last meeting, then why are we here? Like, what are we doing up here for all these hours if what we say doesn't mean much, and then it's adapted?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know knowing Rick, the way he decided to do it, might get, you know, it made sense. It was expedient to get the neighbor happy. It didn't really affect much, and I believe, knowing how Rick was, he probably talked to a few of the members at that time
Wasn't me.
to
I
make
don't know
sure
what
that,
you're
I mean, that was
Wasn't
a few years.
I wasn't here at the time,
But,
the long and the short of it is, it's better than it was, and it was necessary to meet Mr. Fraser's business needs. So, I mean, sometimes you gotta take lemons and make lemonade.
I think what Heather's trying to get at, she kind of feels it should have been brought back here for an amendment to the plan.
And again, that was for all time, which is.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, for all time.
Understood.
We try to abide by what we tell you guys, what we agree to, I mean, just be
Not
respectful.
against you
Yeah.
or.
Yeah, no,
or-
understood,
Just I just
totally
wanna
got
make
it.
sure.
Yeah,
It's unfortunately bundled under one property, so that's what,
that's a separate issue aside from what you're requesting.
I
And
get
what
it.
Heather's saying, and I feel the same way, as we were maybe backdoored on this, should have come back before us, at least told us what was happening. Nobody did that.
Mr. Everly's, recommendation.
I like Everly, but I mean,
Well,
I don't like it.
I
I
think
think
this time
that's-
I'll come back in and you guys.
you know,
and not your fault either, no,
Yeah.
no blame on you.
yeah.
I just don't know, I don't know,
It's hard to hold these legacy buildings to current standards in any adaptation. I mean, they exist already, we want them to be used, we don't want them to be sitting empty.
I agree, Greg, my concern looking at this is strictly at this point would be drainage. That's strictly my, and screen, why was there never screening on this?
There's screening between us and McDonald.
There was never screening to the west?
Between us.
No, to the west of,
To the west of,
Alfire, that would be.
to the west of Walter, there's fence back there.
So Don, again, drainage, that's my main issue at this point.
I mean, I can only comment with what the contours show right now. I have no idea locally if there's an issue without seeing site plan. I'm just guessing.
And what's your best guess at this point?
I mean, we know the general direction of where stuff goes. I mean, the parcel at the building at the northwest corner is essentially the high point. So you either come south toward the lot 1 or east towards 41.
So covering more surface does what to drainage?
Increases runoff, naturally, even gravel. For the most part, and gravel is close to impervious, but it'll infiltrate a little bit. Put rooftop over it, you're gonna generate more runoff.
So who says this is not gonna affect drainage?
But didn't he indicate that, it's already got asphalt over it?
Asphalt in front of it, the area where the addition would be is gravel.
So it's already impervious.
And, everything, like I said, like Don says, east and goes to south and east.
That's not what you said though.
Not what I said.
That's not what he said.
So,
Like 1/3.
Yeah, gravel still has infiltration capacity versus a roof. However that much be, you know, if the gravel sits for a super long time, it gets pretty compact, doesn't allow a lot through, but you're inevitably gonna have more runoff with rooftops and pavement than you would with gravel. Nature of the beast.
so you're saying it's got gravel there, not asphalt?
I'm just going with the Rob said.
Yeah, it's asphalt all in front of the building, and the whole drives, but that one area where the addition would go to the east, Bob, that is gravel, right?
Okay, I misunderstood.
And it's not a big portion, but there's so much asphalt that adding more, it's just something I wanna be cautious of, that's all.
Like I said, it all runs, it runs to the south, to the drains in the paved area, or sheet flows all the way to the ditch to the east on 41. So any water that this generates would stay on the property and run towards the ditch, would not go into any of the neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, a good majority of it will stay on there. It depends how their roof drainage goes. If there's downspouts, will be directed to McDonald's. If everything directed south will be cut, kind of probably in between those two parcels and head east, according to the contours that I can see here.
Yeah, that was my concern too, that's why I brought it up. But I would also like, if we should move forward with this, with granting the one overall variance, I'd like to know what we're waivering. You know, whether, parking and whatever, I'd like to know what we're waivering, so it could be part of the motion. So it's on record that we waived this, and then they come back and say, well, that was waived, and we say, well, no, this is what was waived right here. You know, so I
Definitely
like
parking, parking would have to be waived.
well, whatever, we don't have to go over it now, you know what you have to do. This is just a work session, we're just telling you what we would like to see, because this is not gonna be ready in 2 weeks.
No, that's fine, that's why
Yeah.
we're here discussing it, because I wanted to get your
Right.
thoughts and
But-
It's gonna need to be parking and drainage for sure.
parking and drainage for sure.
So John, you wanna see all the items listed on what they want the waivers for?
Yeah, I mean, so we know what we're actually waivering, 'cause, I mean, you know, we don't wanna buy pig and poke, you know?
Well, I can come in and see Terry next week, and we can list out waivers that.
Yeah, you can go over it with
That's a
Jerry
good
then.
idea.
And then I can come back, and then you can decide then if you wanna do the blanket site plan waiver, or.
Exactly, I mean, give us, you know, a little time, a couple
Almost
weeks
like
in it
turnover,
to
Yeah.
think about it.
Take your time, this isn't like.
You know, I got a lot of old grade data up there, I gotta get moving.
Yeah.
This is the
And
phase
Huntley's,
when we're not
Huntley's
behind.
over to me.
No, that's why we're here, we wanted to discuss it with you first, and figure out if there's you know.
Yeah, I think that would be a good way to go. What does everybody else think? I mean,
To be clear, for me, I am all about business expansion. I love the thought of it. It makes complete sense. I mean, it makes sense. At no fault of any of yours, the property is just a little bit of a cluster.
It is.
So I think from my point of view, I just want to make sure that it's right, and that if you do expand, that that's fair to your neighbors and everything else. That's all for me.
All right, then I'll get with Terry next week, and we'll list out everything that will, or the waivers that are affected, and then you can.
Yeah.
Should we come back in 2 weeks, or should we wait till?
no, you gotta come back next, because next town council is a public meeting, and we're not gonna take any action on it.
Okay.
You know, so come back to the next work session, and what's their timeline? How quick do you wanna move on this?
We'd like to do it this summer, right?
Yeah, if you can, sure. Yeah, I mean, if you come in with all these fancy tools on these cars, so we just dealing with each one as they come, but.
Okay, I won't buy a Honda till you're all set up.
Or a Nissan or anything else, right?
I mean,
All of
yeah,
them?
geez.
So, all right, we'll do that, John, we'll get with Terry.
Sounds good.
We'll see you
So
in
we'll
April.
see you at our April work session.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you for your
You're
time.
welcome, have a good evening. All right, new business. Stuart Oliphant, preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision, on petitioner CBBEL, Don Oliphant, 214 South Main Street, Suite 201, Crown Point, Indiana, 46307. Vicinity of 139 Fairlawn Moore Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision.
Me, apparently. I'm not the owner. It was just a coincidence. I'm not related to Joyce Oliphant, just to let you all know that. So we had requested, this kind of comes back to Shades Phase 1 project. We had requested a stormwater easement or drainage easement from the Stoyers and Oliphants for a stormwater outfall at Rockland. You can kind of see it down there in the middle of the parcel on the south side. So, to receive that easement, the town agreed to do a one-lot subdivision for their property, so to make it a legal lot of record in exchange for that easement. So this is that primary plat, preliminary plat for the one-lot subdivision. There's no development proposed for it. It's simply platting the one lot, also dedicating right-of-way on Moore Street. And this is just kind of going through the normal procedure for a one-lot sub.
This is in lieu of.
In lieu of buying an easement.
This is partial consideration for something the town needed. That's why you're doing it.
It's a partial consideration for something that the town needed for our street improvement project in Shades.
So it's pretty much straightforward.
Your engineer's the petitioner, so if it isn't right, you can look at it.
Yeah, we had DVG do the survey and do the plat. They'll also do the final plat. If this is approved in April, this will kind of close out that project officially. Project's entirely built, closed and everything. It's kind of a final thing to tie off.
For the water project.
Stormwater.
Got
Yeah.
it. I had to unconnect and then reconnect the dots, because as I looked at this, I was confused. Sawyer was the property owner.
Stoyer and Oliphant own it, husband and
CBL
wife.
is the,
We're just acting as the applicant on behalf of the town.
yeah, got it.
Yep.
No, all of it makes complete sense.
So, if you have any questions, this will be on your public meeting agenda in 2 weeks then.
Anybody got any comments?
Nope.
Okay.
Did you have any, I got one question, but
Okay.
was there a waiver from the sidewalk and the
That'll be part of the official, kind of the standard waivers.
Just so they kinda knew, but I mean,
Yeah.
the standard.
Standard waivers from stormwater retention, road expansion, that stuff will be in a letter format for your next meeting.
Okay, it's good for 2 weeks, okay. Number 2, Faroom, one lot subdivision, owner petitioner Joe Faroom, 8816 West 141st Avenue, vicinity of 7001 West 128th Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Concept plan for a one lot subdivision. Good evening.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
Joe Brome, 7001 West 128th, Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Give us an idea what you want to do.
That lot used to have a house on it that I think got condemned and knocked down, so I bought the property and I'm just gonna put another house up on it.
It's vacant now, huh?
Vacant.
There's nothing on it now, just foundation maybe?
The foundation for that old house is on there, we'll get rid of that.
Oh, just one lot subdivision is always sold for.
Yep. It looks like they've kind of plotted out the floodplain for Sleepy Hollow on there, just that drainage easement, that kind of staggered, meets and bounds, northerly, easterly markers there. So, kind of gives a good idea about where the house can be built without getting into it, which is good.
Okay.
It was a horrible piece of property, well, it's a horrible house.
I've heard,
Beautiful piece of property though.
yeah,
So, yeah, I mean, great spot.
yeah. It's nice what's happening in Cedar Lake, everyone's kind of getting the old houses, they're tearing them down or remodeling them, and that's what we're doing to that spot.
That was one that needed to go for sure.
Yep.
What are you gonna build there?
2-story on crawl space, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. Probably a zip line in the back for my kids.
Very cool.
So,
What color shingles?
that's my wife.
Yeah, everything else, you know.
Now, he's asking that because he used to do roofs.
Oh, okay.
We'll probably have to do a sidewalk there, just so there's no surprise on that.
Is there a waiver for those?
There could be.
Okay, because that property ends into a creek/ditch, and it has no sidewalk on the other side of it. I'll do whatever you guys want me to do, but if I could get a waiver on the sidewalk, that would be great.
Yeah. Understand, we're trying to get, so the students at Red Cedars, which is just straight down 141st right there, our upper elementary, the kids should have a good way to walk there. Beacon Point has provided
Yeah.
sidewalks.
There's a sidewalk 90 feet to the west.
Yeah,
So there'd be one parcel between this parcel without it,
yeah.
so.
So that might be, the waiver might be tough, just to give you a heads up.
Okay.
Our goal
Would
is.
it just end into the river then? How
Well,
would
so
I?
that would be the east of you, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it would in there.
We'd have to turn it probably,
Into
some point.
Into the road?
probably.
But that would give us-
We have to see how much room we got.
That would give us a lot of connectivity from those other subdivisions to your east to get the kids safely to school,
Well, then I'll put a sidewalk in.
in my opinion.
Okay.
You have 6 other people here, but in my opinion, that would be a non-negotiable for me.
Okay.
But that's small beans.
Fine with you guys.
Got any other comments?
Let's build a house.
Yeah, I'm good.
Don't get too fast, man.
So what does he need from us next? Nothing?
Come back in a month.
Yeah, gotta wait for his advertising to come in and everything else.
My advertising was for March 19th.
And that's when you give your approval.
So would he be back at the next
2 weeks,
2 weeks.
yeah.
We haven't even reviewed it. I didn't even see it until it was in the packet, so
Oh, okay.
I think that's gonna be a tall task, but we'll review it now. Typically, I thought we normally, concept automatically waits a month.
So you're saying he would have to come back in
Typically, it's how you've done it in the past, is
April?
concept, and then you come back the next work session, then you start your preliminary and then final.
Okay.
It's up to you. I mean, if it's advertised properly, you can accelerate it. We just gotta get a review done.
When are you hoping to break ground on this?
As soon as I can get a building permit. The excavators are family friends, so once I have a permit, I can dig a hole.
Can you get it in 2 weeks?
We'll review it.
I mean,
Well,
potentially, you could be at the March 19th meeting,
Oh,
but if our engineer hasn't had time to review it, it wouldn't be until April 16th.
If that's the case, am I gonna have to re-advertise?
No.
No.
No,
Not
you're good.
necessarily.
I don't think
If
so.
you come here, you could open a public hearing,
Yeah.
checking off on all the legals, and then continue or defer.
At the next meeting? So if we're unable to vote at the next meeting, we could at least do that.
Public meeting.
I mean, we'll get it turned around as quick as we can.
If everything lines up.
Right. Is there anything I can do with this to help it along for the 19th?
Just make sure Don, make sure Don has everything he needs.
Yes, I mean, I got it. We'll review it.
Okay, what kind of coffee do you like?
Huh?
No way.
Muffins, cookies,
Yeah, anything. Yeah, there's no, the plans have no variances or anything wacky. I'm off the floodplain. I got my setbacks, no problem, so.
It looks clean, so, yeah, we'll just take a look at it.
All right. So I'll be back on the 19th then.
Yeah, come back on the 19th, make sure Don has everything he needs now so that he can review it. Or try to get it reviewed by then. He's got a lot of other things to do, but,
No, he doesn't.
I don't know.
Do you have what you need done, or do you?
Yeah, it looks complete, so we'll just look at the details and see what we see.
Okay. Sounds good. Should I be in touch or just come back the 19th?
Right,
Come back on the 19th, yeah.
okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Update items, Rose Garden, Tom McSherry, and he, sent an email out saying that he was in North Carolina, I guess. Not fighting fires, but he had some, company business to attend to for a couple days there, meetings or something, so, I told him that we would like, or I had Cheryl tell him that we would like to see him at the 19th meeting to update us on, what's going on out there.
And that would be a month from when he was here last.
Yes.
Do we know if he took care of those concerns?
I have no idea, and that was one of my questions, is, you know, the ladies belly in the pipe and what have you. Yeah, I don't know, so we'll find out in 2 weeks.
Tim, do you have any kind of update on that?
I got a little update. I mean, they have contacted Public Works to start setting up inspections for that. There are some concerns from the original, phase one inspection, such as a light at the lift station that's never been installed, and a couple things that you could see just driving by that weren't done from the original punch list. So until we can get punch list 1 checked off, we're not doing punch list 2, 3, and 4, you know what I mean? We're not gonna keep going out there and doing another inspection when we know the stuff on the first one hasn't been taken care of yet, so.
And they need a lift station put in?
Lift station light, there's a light on the lift station, there's a couple other things that are visible from the road. I know the lift station light was one of them, and it's still not there, so that was on the original punch list from how long ago, Don, back?
2, 3 years, at least?
Yeah, so we're kind of taking the stand that we're not gonna go make another list to look at until you know.
Phase
they
one
get
is done.
Right, get done with that, and then we'll make sure that was done and then do the next one, so.
I agree.
Hopefully they take that to heart and get it done, which I'm sure that he will, but that's kind of where we are.
So just because I'm curious now that we've had homeowners come here upset about things that have happened, obviously that's not the town's fault, but it has become our problem. So how does that work? So the woman that had the backup issues with the sewer, I mean, we're not inspecting anything, that's up to the developer, but what's the recourse with that, or how does that work?
That's just, that's between the builder and the homeowner. I mean, we inspected that underground plumbing. I mean, that house was, I looked into that, and that was done in February, or right when they started. That was one of their model homes, so they had it covered and uncovered and covered and uncovered, and Lord only knows what happened between the rough end plumbing inspection and they poured the floor. You know, I mean, we can't go out there every day, but that's just their recourse is through the builder. I mean, and obviously, the builder needs to take care of it, and I'm sure unfortunately, they don't run right out and tear out your, living room floor without, I'm sure it's probably, like pulling teeth, but I think that.
That's the resolution, they're gonna have to cut it out.
So, but, I mean, for the town, for us, all we can do is encourage them to do the right thing, but ultimately, it's a civil issue between the homeowner and the builder, right?
Correct.
So I appreciate them coming here and bringing it to our attention, but there's only so much we can do with that, which Tom's been really good. I feel like he's made more moves in the short amount of time that he's dealt with us than we have for 3-4 years prior.
Yeah, he's been very responsive to us, and I'm happy with how it's been proceeding.
Yeah.
And the company hasn't been responsive in the past though, and nothing hurts to make them be responsive to their customers.
Correct.
So, can't make them, but you can encourage them.
For sure.
Certainly.
And I think, Tim, that's a great idea. They need to close out one portion of that before you guys spend any more time doing more.
Yeah, that just seems like right. I mean, if they get that done, then we'll create the next list. Hopefully, Tom's doing what he says, and there isn't another list. Hopefully we can just walk through and get it done. So.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
He'll be here at the 19th meeting, so. Okay, discussion, Comcast and Surf Internet revised utility permit application. I know nothing on this.
Well, I guess that's where I'm gonna step in and try to provide some clarity here.
Okay.
After many discussions with Jeff Pungy and Cliff and myself and many of the team, we are getting inundated with people wanting to work in the right-of-way. Great, that's fine. But it caused us to look at the fact that the information that Cliff is going to need, especially for documentation, he needs these items in a shipped file. That, to me, is one of the main things that we need to do. So we're probably going to have to look at the ordinance 1266 that was passed a few years ago, that would regulate the use of the right-of-ways, okay? And here's a case in point. Comcast is one. They're running 120 some odd feet to provide a new connection for one of their service units to their house, one street, probably just a couple of days worth of work. They're in, they're out, they're done. But again, because it's an underground utility, we need to have documentation, and they need to provide it for us. We don't have an instrument right now that says they're required to provide that for us, so that we can have documentation of this stuff. And as more and more utilities are putting their stuff in the underground, whether it be NIPSCO, whether it be Comcast provider, whether it be Surf Internet, or whoever it may be, we need documentations, because just like in a big building, you have a raceway where all the utilities go. And utilities in a big building, they have to occupy a certain space and don't deviate from it. But then they have to document it as well, so that you don't have overlap, you don't have confusion, you don't have people tearing up their own stuff, and we've got a record of where the stuff is. Okay, so that's probably the biggest issue. But then, with Comcast, it's such a small thing, I don't think I would have a problem with them just getting a permit and doing their job in the right of way, but we need to have a fee structure. I mean, open cuts, that needs to be a part of the permit. We have a template that Don had provided, okay? And, we need to develop it a little bit more. And so, these are the things that we're looking into, is to have a permit for all the right-of-way issues and to handle fee structure, whether it be, cutting into the right-of-way or road cut, which is what, is it $250 or $275 per? You know, but, so that they can see all these structures here. Surf Internet wants to come into our community, and they literally want to take over the town in the right-of-way. That's where they want their work to go. And they've sectioned it down to 18 different areas. Well, another thing that came up is, since they're doing the entire town, shouldn't we provide them some type of a bonding requirement?
Are they from Illinois too?
I don't know where they're from. Cliff would know.
Well, Surf Internet is a nationwide deal, but
I was being sarcastic.
you know, it's gonna be boarded and all of the Hoosier
Right.
Cable and all the subcontractors actually installing, you know, the product.
I agree with you, Terry. I'll tell you why. One of the reasons why I had one of my buildings, they were out. Of course, no one knew that they were out, but they ran fiber optic cable right through one of our sewer lines. Well, I mean, they didn't know it was bored underground. They didn't know
Right.
that they punched it through the sewer line, but I found out pretty quickly when the toilet stopped flushing.
Yeah.
And I discovered that the fiber optic line was in the sewer line, and I called, I'll leave the town nameless, I called over there and said, well, nobody's been out there working. I said, somebody's been out here working. And we argued back and forth about that for a little while, and I said, well, I'll tell you what, how about if I cut these fiber optic lines and fix my sewer line, and then they can sort it out later? Oh, no, don't do that. So, that's what it took to get their attention, to get somebody out there to pull their fiber optic lines out of the sewer line. But you don't know who you're talking to. Somebody at the town or at the municipality should have some sort of record when things like that happen,
Right.
because it happens.
Now, when we do other repair, we don't really have to bond, if it's a simple or a minor repair and it's not under contract, it's just maybe even an emergency situation. We have one of our contractors come in here. He has limits of his liability and his insurance that would cover, you know, whatever he's doing at that time. But with Surf Internet, I felt like, and they weren't disagreeable with it, of actually doing a bond for what they're wanting to do in Cedar Lake. Another thing that came out when we were talking to some of these people is, it seems like some, and I'm not gonna say all, and I don't even know how many, okay? Some of the complaints we're getting is, when people are working in the right-of-way, they need to bring some porta potties,
Yeah.
okay? Well, it would be nice to have an instrument that says, that's your responsibility.
Your requirement, yes.
You know, and so, that's why we're bringing it up to your attention, because right now, we're trying to piece all this stuff together. There is going to be a need, because we have a need now, and I can't imagine it being less coming into the future, especially the way the ordinance is written, where all utilities have to be underground.
I wonder what kind of thing that will play if we put that sidewalk in from the Chamber of Commerce to Constitution. Do we got, stuff underneath the ground there where that sidewalk's gonna go?
Well, sure, probably do, but I mean, you could call 811 and get it located as best you can. A lot of times, people are still too lazy to call 811, so, you know.
I see the document here, what do you need from us? I understand what you're saying, but what exactly do you
That's
need
just
from
a
us?
template to get your eyes on it, just to look at it and say, this is what we want to do, and I wanted to, like I said, Jeff, Cliff and I are working on this stuff to try to nail down some of the exact specifics, that we were gonna do, and we would have had more of it done if we hadn't been chasing other fires, you know, going on at the time, but we wanted to make you aware of it. We need to put it on someone's radar screen that this needs to be done.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think the recommendation would probably come from you guys to the town council to pick this up, okay, that this is a need that we have.
Do other communities have something like this?
They need to.
I don't know if they do
What,
or
Dave?
they don't, but I'm like Greg, I think they need to, because if you have a building, this is
right.
normal.
All right, Dave?
Not in my communities, none of the ones I represent, or many locally. Not even talking about it. Yes.
So we may be on the cuff.
Well, it sounds like we have it already, it's just not,
Well, Don got this ready about 5 years ago, we were on that kick, and then we kind of
That changed.
stopped.
That kick changed.
Right.
well, I gave the little example that I had, because if the town is aware that utility work has been done, and you have a problem like I did, then somebody at the municipality would be aware of who to contact, rather than give the person whose toilets won't flush the runaround.
So they got some
And
documentation.
it's a tough situation too, because just to say every underground, everything underground needs to be permitted is, a gas line to a house, or we do make them get permits for road cuts and road.
That's typically in the plan for a new construction home, you know something's happening there.
But these big, all these new subdivisions, they're coming in and putting, the internets and the AT&Ts and all those things are coming in and, aside from NIPSCO, putting in the electric and the gas, but they're coming in all the backyards and all the side yards, and everybody's fighting for position to, like Terry said, where everything is and how everything's fitting in, and they have easements to work in, but there's a lot of stuff going on that, like you said, if you called and said, hey, who was working here,
Nobody knew anything about it.
There's AT&T, there's Comcast, and now the Surf Internet's gonna be another, I'm sure I go through Crown Point and there's, you see no less than 30 trucks around the corners there, they're everywhere, man, running lines everywhere, so everything.
The other thing that was disturbing is this sewer line I dug 6 inches in a ditch to get the sewer line.
Yeah.
So that's how deep the sewer line was.
Yeah.
Which.
And they went through it.
And they went through it, so that's how deep
Thinking that they
the
were
fiber
safe.
optic lines are too, which is,
Not cool.
no.
Right.
So Heather, to answer your question, I think we're bringing it up to you now, we're kind of brainstorming in this thing. And so everyone in the committee, if you guys want to just give your thoughts to this thing, we'll come up with something more formal. But we want to have one document that we think would work for everyone, whether they need to pay for a fee or not, or whether they need to be bonded or not. I think we need to make it more inclusive on what, because they do vary. They vary vastly, from very small projects to citywide projects or townwide projects. So, but I don't see this not being more of an issue coming into the future.
I love the
Because it's all
idea.
going that way.
I think it's great.
You got a $100 basic application fee, is that what
Well,
you're suggesting?
we were thinking that, but Cliff pushed back on it a little bit, and I think the state of Indiana has kind of limited that to like $55 for fiber optic and telecommunications. So again, we have to have a fee structure. So maybe that's the way to do it, and that we just come up with a more comprehensive fee structure. So, and it's gonna vary, but I hate for it to be as complicated as we can, but I wanna try to do it on 1 or 2 pages max. Otherwise it just becomes too burdensome.
And maybe,
But we're gonna have to adjust the ordinance at that time too, so.
and maybe you can check with, maybe there's some communities already out there that's got this instead of us inventing the wheel.
I think that's what Don did for us by providing this template, so, so that was helpful.
So you and Cliff and Jeff are gonna get some ideas together and present them to us so we can look at them
Right.
and throw our ideas out.
But if you have some ideas, don't be afraid. My door is always open, give us a call. If something comes to you, let us know.
And then eventually, we'll recommend, approval to the town council.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I agree, I think that needs to be done too, yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, Terry.
We have one more thing under discussion.
Jim's got a question.
Go ahead. Who does? Go ahead.
If, on this, if they have to go through a sidewalk, and are they responsible for repairing that sidewalk?
Well, they're supposed to be boring underneath.
They're typically-
You should have no issue.
Typically,
We're
they
talking about all
work
things
with-
that
they
are
work with
installed
whatever's in the
underground.
ground.
Yeah.
Yes, if they damage it after, yeah.
Drain tile, sewer
Anything.
lines,
You name it.
gas lines.
They could.
Hit them.
Whatever they hit, they're supposed to fix, or whatever they cut, open cut, rack.
And I want an instrument that says that too. You hit it, you gotta fix it, you know?
Exactly. What'd you have,
So we
Tim?
have one other item, we have a issue with, Lakeside Unit 2. Jack's gonna talk about, there was an easement that was on the primary plat that was approved when the final plat got recorded. Well, Jack will explain it to you.
Yeah, so, the primary plat for, the whole project for Lakeside,
And you are who?
I'm Jack Hall from DDG, 1155 Trout Line in Crown Point, Indiana. Lakeside Unit 2 is the rest, where it was the 80-acre parcel for Lakeside. And we did, broken into, Unit 1, Block 1, Block 2, and then that's Unit 2, Block 1. So we filed a final plat, and DVG missed an easement on 2 lots for an overland flood route.
No.
Yeah, I know, it kind of sucks. So I can tell you how that happened. So we normally put our overland flood routes over top of pipes, so when our survey department draws the plat, they bring the utility plan into their drawing, and they cover all the storm sewer with easement. In between these 2 lots, unfortunately, there happened to be an overland flood route that didn't have a pipe in it, and so it got missed. And so that's the situation we're in. The plat's already been recorded, went through the town, got reviewed, been recorded, but we need to have that overland flood route there. And so, to complicate matters a little bit, those 2 lots have actually been sold. Right. So we can file a plan of correction, but in order to not adversely affect those homeowners or those lot owners, we're going to request to you that a waiver, a development waiver, from your requirement for 12-foot side yard easements to 8-foot side yard easements. And the reason for that would be then the easement would match the building setback line. And so there's not a significant impact to those homeowners as they build those homes there.
Did they start to build yet?
Hmm?
Did they start to build?
They're in for permitting, and that's really what caught it. You got a great building department that was looking at the engineering plans, saw the overland flood route, looked at the plat, looked at the individual plats, and said, hey, there's no easement here. Reached out to me, yep, okay, we missed that. I then looked at the overland flood route, re-looked at the calculations, talked to Don about the size of the easement that's required. We can easily fit within the 16-foot easement that we're recommending or requesting. And so, just to kind of close the loop on that, Tim really felt that it was important that the Plan Commission grant us that waiver, kind of post-dated
One
back to
8-foot
that
setback,
plat.
so just on those 2 lots?
Just on those 2 lots, and so that we can just kind of clean this up, from a title work perspective, so.
That's minor, isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, for sure. But it's just something, like Heather said, you
It's
gotta
just-
go through the whole thing, and then
Yeah. Technically, your
you should be the
subdivision
ones know.
Yeah, it's
ordinance
kind of a
requires
process.
12-foot minimum. And it's a
You guys
straight
are the
zone.
ultimate responsibility, responsible party to that, and so, staff wants to make sure that you are aware and are making that decision, so.
Good catch.
Yeah, they did a good job, so.
And I appreciate you coming back here and talking to us.
Yeah,
I
so
think that's
we'll be,
reasonable.
if you're agreeable, we'll be back in 2 weeks to formalize that request and get it on public record, and then, we'll finish up the paperwork and, okay?
I got other question for you.
Okay.
I'm getting asked by residents, what's going on over there by Cedar Lake, Florida? Surveyors are out there surveying that property that Schilling owns.
Not 100% sure. actually.
So you don't know.
No, I mean, our survey department, our engineering department actually are on opposite ends of the building, so they could have gotten a survey order that I would have nothing no awareness of. That frequently happens, so.
So I still can't answer the question.
Don had mentioned earlier in the day, or earlier in the meeting, that we did the one lot subdivision for, the town on Moore Street there, and like, I had no idea that we even did that, so.
You wanna see it?
Bob,
On our letterhead, or our
check with
logo,
Joe
so-
if you wanted to.
So.
Okay, well,
Okay, Jack, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, I wanna move on to, public comment. Family public comment.
Did you find a buyer for the barn?
Working on it. That's why I'm here to talk tonight. My name is Michael Herbers with Diamond Peak, 1313 White Hawk Drive in Crown Point. I was here back in February in the public comment section, and here I am again. I did speak with Terry on Monday. We spoke to Mr. Kapora, who said that the public comment discussion that we had in presentation did suffice for the workshop meeting, prior to the public meeting on March 19th. However, I do want to come back this evening again, just to state that certified mailings went out last week, legal notice was posted today, and I do have some renderings of the barn if you guys would like to see.
Yeah.
Of course, full disclosure, there will be some tweaks still, but I figured, wanted to keep everything in front of you as we, updated the project and kind of move forward, and so I will
I
pass
haven't
them
talked to
out now.
anybody that hated that idea.
Pardon
I
me?
haven't talked to anybody that hated that idea.
while you're passing them out, Tim, Mr. Hunley just told me there on Parish by that barn on the northbound lanes, there's a huge pothole. Okay?
I'll get it right after this meeting.
Okay.
Bill, can I call you tomorrow and tell you about some more potholes?
You may.
It's closed, Bob. I closed it.
Your road.
133rd. Pretty sure, what do you?
So anyway, just more of an update more than anything. Again, we just received these Monday afternoon, so we are going to go through them internally a little bit. Probably make some minor tweaks to it here and there, but overall, this is what our conceptual layout's going to be. And we're definitely looking forward to it, so.
Super cool. How big is this thing?
I
ginormous.
will have to check. I know that garage addition, the garage itself is like 800 square feet plus or minus, and above it is going to be just one giant bonus room.
Yeah.
Whether it gets finished or not, I'm not sure, because it is a massive space. I will have to talk to our architect to see what the total square footage is.
That's cool.
I know people that would buy this
Is
right
this
now.
gonna be a single residence?
Yes.
Family.
Oh, yeah, just a family residence, single family.
That's really cool. Super
So,
cool.
we're excited for it. Again, like I said, I wanted to bring some update items, let you guys know that all the legal notices and public mailings have gone out. So, I will be back in front of you guys on March 19th for your recommendation to the council.
Are you gonna put a metal roof on that?
That is still something we are discussing internally.
I think it looked pretty neat with a metal roof on it.
Very neat, but it's extremely expensive.
It's like Diamond Peak's, like, offices,
Yeah. Yep. So,
Very
They have their
cool.
own style.
Somebody told me that metal roofs are noisy inside the house.
They're really not.
They're not too
It's
bad.
almost like peaceful.
It is peaceful, I'll be honest, because again, to Don's point, our office in Crown Point, we did redo that with the metal roof on it, and it is kind of tranquil.
Yeah.
Well, you have to remember that you're gonna insulate that roof there somehow, either inside or underneath the metal. So the insulation is gonna deaden.
It does help damper the noise, yeah.
Metal over
The
wood
insulation
is not
is
nearly as loud as metal.
Pardon?
When metal is applied over the wood, it's not like a pole barn with just a metal tin roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And there's gonna be insulation, and if it's a exposed ceiling, you're gonna have insulation above it, above the deck and that, so, yeah, it's, years ago it was.
Okay.
I love those metal roofs.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, the Quonset hut, when I was in the boot camp, it made a lot of noise when it rained. No insulation.
Now, we have him scheduled for the 19th to come in, that's when all his advertising is, and he's At that point, all we're looking to do is to change the zone,
Right.
okay, from B1 to R2, correct?
Correct, yep. Yeah, 'cause again, we'll fit within all the setbacks. Again, the only addition is that garage, which we will be, again, going B2 because it can be aligned with the building and, you know, not have to worry about that side yard setback there, so.
Very good.
I put a couple windows in the sidewalk.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out, because.
Silo's where you put the elevator.
True, because you can see there is a connecting point to the silo on that second story. So that there is going to be some sort of room in that silo, so yeah, we'll have to see if we can throw some windows in there.
Or a Hubble telescope.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No,
Idea,
good.
perfect, thanks guys.
Thank you.
We have any other public comments?
Al Recupero, 10812 West 134th Place. I'll give you the address of the property that I'm addressing, but it's, while I talk to him, but it's 10819 West 133rd Ave in Cedar Lake. So, little background, I want to expand my business in town. Give you a little background, I own and operate Coop's Car Correction. I do mobile paintless dent repair, detailing, and been doing this for 5+ years. I service Northwest Indiana, Illinois, built a really good reputation, at least in my opinion, over the last 5 years. And I'm looking to expand and do a fixed location that I can't do, or do work that I can't do mobile. So in September, my wife and I, we purchased the property 10819 West 133rd Avenue. Single family home, 1,800 square foot pole barn, zone B3. When we purchased the property, we were under the impression that the previous owner was running some kind of cabinet shop out of the back of the building.
He was.
And living in the house. So with it being zoned B3, I figured what I wanted to do would jive and also go along with the master plan of the town of having that corridor all business eventually.
And this is located east of where Jet Pizza and Wingstop, where the old Liberty Restaurant was, across from Home
Yeah,
Depot.
that empty lot, yeah.
Larry Stinger's old place?
Yes, of course, yep. So in the meantime, like I said, we just bought the property in September, end of September. Haven't done too much to the house or anything, but the shop itself, I pulled permits, I added a bathroom in the shop, and then the floor drains in the shop were just dumping into the town easement on the west side of my property, so I hooked those up to sewer as well, added a grease trap.
Storm sewer, right?
No, it was like it was a 6-inch sewer where I tapped into the house.
Oh, you tapped into our sewer?
Yeah, off the house, yep.
For
the shop.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And like I said, those were, permits pulled for all that. Yeah, so just literally had the permit signed off a handful of weeks ago, and I'm looking to use the shop as kind of my headquarters for my mobile operations and do whatever kind of work that I can't do mobile. And I just need an avenue to figure out what I need to do to make this work.
That's B3 over there?
Yes.
Are you gonna live in the house?
I'm gonna rent the house out.
Well, the zoning's right, isn't it?
Why are we here? No, genuine question. The B3 zoning with the B3
B3 zoning,
usage.
so I guess, I mean, essentially what he's looking to do is turn a residentially used piece of property into more of a commercial business. I mean, we have a similar instance on the east side lake here where a guy has a detailing shop at his house. He got a variance to have 2 cars or, 2 cars at a time or 1 car and actually operate his business in his house. I mean, for him to turn this into a detail shop regardless of the situation that triggers the site plan approval and the parking requirements and, I mean, it's not a, I guess, let's just say it's not a, it is zoned properly and it is a, you know, the building is exactly what he needs for his business, but the property currently, or has never been used as a business use.
Well, but now we're
Till
using it, I
now.
guess, as a business and a residence, correct?
And
That's his intention, is a business
His
and a
intention to
residence.
use it as a business and a residence.
So is he here because of the dual usage of the property?
Well, it's here
Or
to
is he
get
here to
some
check it
feedback
out?
of what you guys are looking for as far as your chapter 17, as far as your forest site plan, as far as, what type of direction, you know, he's looking for some direction on what you believe or what you think he needs to do to make this happen. He wants to use that rear building for his business and rent the house, and his zoning is
How many cars do
proper.
you think you'll have there?
I mean, not a lot, like, so be honest, like, I do a lot of mobile stuff, so there's gonna be days I'm not there. The line of work I do is like exterior,
I know
yeah.
most of what you do is out in the field.
Yeah, but, you know, when I'm like detailing cars, it's, you know, you clean the car, polish it, whatever, and then it sits inside till it gets picked up, you know? Anything I'm working on is gonna be sitting inside until it's picked up.
So you probably never have more than two there at a time.
It would be me, I have an employee that works with me, so if he's there, it'd be me and his car, mine and his, vehicles. Most of the time, I like to keep my stuff parked inside so nobody knows I'm there, so I don't get bugged. And then, I'm a freak with my cars, so I don't want them sitting outside if they don't have to be sitting outside. I mean, the shop, I could fit 4 to 6 vehicles in there depending on what I'm doing. Unless it's sitting outside to be picked up, I really don't have a big need for parking. You know, with me being mobile most of the time, I won't have set hours as far as like people coming in and out, unless it's like appointment only, you know, somebody, you know, there's days, maybe weeks I'm not even in Cedar Lake doing work, so, it's not like I have a storefront, people are just gonna be constantly driving in and out.
I did the same thing you're doing, except I gotta go all the way to Wheatfield to do it. I rent the house out, I keep the barns for me, and do whatever I need to do down there. And I would love to have a place closer to here to do that, but I don't even view what you're doing as needing a site plan.
I don't, no, I got a question here, first of all. It's zone B3 for a special use variance for residential. Now, anytime somebody wants to move commercial into it, they can and get it rezoned back to the B3. And drop to the special use. Can you do a special use for, residential on the house property? And then a special, and then, revert back to the B3 for his business? Can you have two different,
This was always a residential use in a B3, so,
The B3 part's not the problem, I guess, right? It's the residential then at that point?
well, yeah, because he can take that property along, where he's talking about, that whole stretch right there, is B3, with special use variances for residential. Now, it'll stay residential as long as people wanna live in the house, but if they wanna come in there and make it into a huge beauty salon, they can revert it back to the B3 and lose the special use variance on it, then it stays B3 forever.
well, if it's,
So my question is, can you have two separate zonings there? Can you have special use for the residents up front, and then have the B3 use in the rear?
What was, like, the people that were up here earlier where All Tire, he mentioned that their property had a house on it, and they were running a tire shop out of the back up until 2 years ago. So was that kinda like the same?
There's no house there.
That house has been
There
gone
was-
for years.
There was no
house.
it was initially that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but.
so that'd be kinda started at the same,
Yeah. No, I'm all for it, I'm just trying to make sure that what we're doing is correct, or we
Right.
do it in the correct procedure if we go forward, that's all.
I kinda think we rezoned all that property business and there were residential's already there, kind of grandfathered in. Isn't that correct?
That's exactly right, and you also have the tools in the code of contractual commitments, conditions that can be imposed that permit reverter if the use changes or ends, so.
So Dave, I'm sorry to interrupt, if that house, at some point, he wanted to make another business, would he have to come back in front of someone for
Yes.
that?
The answer is yes to that question.
Because it's a special use as of now?
Or a zoning change, one of the two.
Okay.
So you're saying if I ever wanted to do like separate business out of the house and all that?
Right.
We would have to have a site plan and parking and, what kind
Lighting
of, and all that stuff.
If you're just gonna rent it, it's just a rental.
In my opinion, the use isn't changing. If the guy lived there and he ran a business, you're running a business and someone's living in a home.
Right.
In my opinion, nothing's changing as far as that goes. Just as long as going forward, if that home does become a business, that would be something we would want to check into, in my opinion.
But I agree with you.
I agree too.
I mean, if I had it my way and my business was good enough, the house would be gone.
If you had it your way, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah,
So what do we tell him?
yeah, what do I need?
Go for it. I mean, does he have to come back in front of us, or?
I don't.
Does this fall under chapter 17?
It does
Well,
fall
I
under
just give you a
chapter
background of
17.
what, like,
It falls under chapter 17, he has to come back here one more time.
And then we just say, good to go?
Good to go, but he needs to bring you what you're saying good to go is. I don't know what that is, except that I know the property.
Yeah, there's gonna have to be something for, you know, like, you know, just like he said, you know, 2 cars parked outside. Obviously, the residence now doesn't have a garage. The rental property is gonna have outdoor parking only.
I have some aerials marked up, just for like preliminary, in case you guys want to see any of the stuff. Like the aerial was previously, I cleaned up a lot of the lots, there's like a lot of junk laying around, so I even have some photos of what I did, but I just kind of marked up some other stuff on there of what, you know, what I have without doing anything other than how the property sits right now.
Could you get down with that?
Oh. Sorry, didn't mean to disrespect you. Okay.
You know, the rule here is you have to bring enough pictures.
What's up?
You have to bring enough pictures.
Bring enough pictures?
That's
I have some pictures too.
Yeah.
How many do I need?
No.
Where are the residents gonna park?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
That person right here.
Behind the house.
That's one spot.
What if they have company or something and block your driveway?
So, it's a single guy that I'm gonna be renting to. In the contract, I mean, it's pretty common in leases just to only offer 1 parking spot, or, you know, X amount of parking spots. So, I have a clause in there, just, you know, drive must be open at all times, and 1 parking spot is assigned. So.
So, just to be clear, just so he's clear, to come back to the next meeting, what does he need from us? Because I'm unclear.
I guess it'd be nice if there was a survey. There's a nice picture, but we don't have a survey, that would have had on it at least some general or generic description of what the site is gonna be used, or how it's gonna be used. You've described it, but it's hard to put that into the record. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And then whatever the conditions he proposes for use of the property, so that you have the information you need to make an informed decision and give direction. pretty simple, really.
So many cars outside, no trailers.
The width of the parking spaces.
Your mobile, do you work on a trailer for your mobile work?
No, just pick up.
Just a pickup truck?
Does that help you out at all?
So I'm still kind of unclear what I need. So I need to get a survey.
Yeah, my understanding from our legal is that a survey.
Okay.
It's not a stake survey though, just a plat, right?
He did?
Well, it's a location survey.
The survey location.
I know you have a regular platted survey from the purchase of the house, or Larry did, because he had one when we built the Cole building,
Okay.
so.
With a better draw up of where parking's going to be.
Okay.
And then what you're asking for. Are you asking for 6 cars parked outside? You know, from the town standpoint, I think we need to see like, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be a dumping ground for, you're not gonna be storing boats out back and campers and.
Are you planning on having a sign, any signage or?
That's what ends up happening.
No, I don't plan to have any signs, but that's another, I wasn't sure what, I guess what avenues I'd have to go through if down the line I wanted to do signage, or like, if I were to throw vinyl stickers on the window of the garage door, if I'm, breaking the law somehow, if I didn't get, some kind of technical okay to have signage, But as of now, I don't plan to put anything in the street. I kind of keep a low-key operation.
Well, that's a nice looking area through there, so I would not like to see a lot of signage up to distract from, was there 3 homes there?
Yeah, there's 2 homes, and then the one house is vacant, and the glass shop.
Yeah, so, right. So I wouldn't want to see a lot of signage, but I guess some signage, you have to advertise your business a little bit, so, something, but, that could all be cleared up.
So I guess then I'll just come back with that survey and written up, just kind of more of a form of what I'm asking for. I want to have the ability to have X amount of vehicles parked out, and
It gives the town recourse if it turns into a dumping ground, we've got campers and dumpsters and things like that out there, then it gives us some sort of recourse to come back and say, nope, your paperwork, here's what you asked for and what we approved.
I get it. No, I go to a lot of body shops that are dumps, and I don't want to keep my place like
And
that,
I'm sure you don't, but unfortunately, there's a reason we have to ask for this now, and.
No, okay.
And hours of operation at there, I don't care what you're working mobile,
Yeah,
but hours of operation that you would be working at that site.
okay.
Like from 8 in the morning to 5 at night or whatever it is, so that, we know, when traffic would be there or.
There's residential around there too, so we don't want to be disruptive to them. And you've got a tenant, you don't want to be disruptive to them either.
Of course,
I'm sure you don't plan on working at 10 PM at night.
No, I got kids, I don't,
Yeah.
I won't, the earlier I'm done, the better. Okay, so then I come back, March 19th with that,
Well,
or when's the next?
Mr. Chairman.
March 19th. What are you saying, Dave?
Remember, this is, public comment at the backside of your, work study session. So he probably should come to the meeting in April with having everything in place after having reviewed it with staff.
Come to the work session, or?
Yeah, the work session. Yeah.
This is the concept meeting.
Well, it isn't the concept meeting, this is the public comment of the Plan Commission's workshop.
So it'd be April 2nd, and then we could vote on that though, if all went well, on April 16th.
You could, yes, that's
April
right.
2nd work session, and then April 16th would be when we would vote.
April 2nd would be
We don't want to
6
get
o'clock.
confused on where we're at.
And the next meeting, is at 7.
Okay, and then I don't need to bring anything to the town beforehand of the meeting of April 2nd, I could just come with everything that night?
Well, you not need to look at anything, or?
I think so. I mean, lighting's not changing, right, on anything?
No, structures, none of that.
You need to get whatever you're gonna present, into the, Terry's office, by noon on a Friday before the meeting. So if you got it, or sooner.
Before the 28th.
Okay. All righty.
And I wouldn't mind if you came in and just met with me, so we could go over everything
Okay,
that you have, and we could have a little sit-down anyway, 'cause
okay, so we could do that when I
this is
start.
new to us, we gotta create a file for you, and we gotta be able to upload information for them.
Okay, is there certain hours you're around then?
I'm here pretty much, all the time, 9 to 5, pretty much,
Okay, I'll make it.
5 days a week.
All right. That it? All right, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you. We have any more, any other public comment?
Anybody online, raise your hand. One attendee.
Nobody?
Nobody raising their hand.
Did, Bob, did you have a question?
Well, I guess I could do it here, could have done it. I'd like to go to Don Oliphant about the water situation for the fire and police station. At the Board of Safety, Todd Wilkening, mentioned that we need a water tank for water suppression out there. And I talked to you, and I'd like you to explain to everybody what you told me.
So just to update everybody, that public notice went out on the 7th of February, so that public notice should be done here in a couple days. So hopefully that permit will be released soon for some of that work that needs to be done. What the chief was talking about was, so when Lighthouse does ultimately get turned on, there's not enough pressure in that system alone to service fire flow to the safety building. There will not be fire flow until the interconnect is done with the Robbins Nest system. So technically, they would either be on fire watch or have a supplemental water tank to provide that water pressure for it. So that's really up to the chief if he wants to sit on fire watch for X amount of months until we get that interconnect in, and then there's fire flow, or basically have a temporary tank.
Firehouse on a fire watch, isn't it?
Isn't it? I mean, this has been known for over a year. This is not new information. This has been brought up at several meetings. Those two pumps in Lighthouse don't quite have it. I mean, if they're both running together, but we can't evaluate that way. If they're both running together, you get close. But technically, we can only evaluate one at a time, assuming one's down. So it doesn't have fire flow until the interconnect is done through Lakeside South. Plain and simple.
So is there any plans to put a tank there to do that, or?
That's up to chief. I mean, like we said, we've talked about this for a long time. A temporary tank is not cheap. So they either sit on fire watch for a couple months, or get a temporary tank.
How big of a tank?
Be pretty large.
Yeah, fire watch is the way to go.
Yeah, it'll be pretty large.
MacArthur's been doing it for a year now.
Yeah.
And as soon as we get water to the tower, they won't have to do that anymore, correct?
Well, as soon as we interconnect it, yes. I mean, water to the tower, that, Robbins Nest is under construction as we speak. The old pumps get,
MacArthur?
Well, yes, they will have fire watch. They will be out of fire watch once that tank gets filled fully, which hopefully is next week, or later this week.
Your question and his answers give me a headache.
Well, we're making progress.
Moving, slowly.
Okay, is that good?
Yes.
Any other public comment? If not, then I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and we're going to move into tonight's special meeting. I'm going to call that to order, the Town of Cedar Lake Plan Commission special meeting of March 5th, 2025, called to order at 7:38. Give me a roll call, please.
Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Parker?
Here.
Mr. Carnahan?
Here.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Ms. Sensauer? Present. Mr. Wilkening is absent. Mr. Capora?
Present.
Mr. Oliphant?
Here.
Mr. Austin?
Present.
Mr. Bungie?
I think he dropped off.
Absent. Mr. Conley?
Here.
Mr. Kubiac?
Still here.
Ms. Sykes is present.
Pothole too. All right, old business, DeSimone, Railside Lot 17, owner petitioner, M&M Warehouse LLC, 421 Brookshire Court, Valparaiso, Indiana, 46385, vicinity of 13631 Alexander Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting site plan approval for shell building at Railside Business Park, Lot 17. Hi.
Hi,
Name and address for the record, please.
Mike Simone, 421 Berkshire Court, Valparaiso, Indiana, 46385 for M&M Warehouses, LLC.
Okay, you had a few things you had to get to Don, right?
Yeah, we got everything all submitted to Don. Don replied, all things addressed. The only final comments were the photometric plan, which I got here today, so I made some printouts for everybody. Can hand those out for you. Apologize, I'll test your glasses strength, see what they do.
Since that's welcome, give me one. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Well, darn it.
My eye stopped working about 30 minutes ago.
For you, file.
Mine did about 10 years ago.
Thanks, guys.
Don, do you have, what do you have to report on this?
So we issued another letter today, just some supplemental stuff was submitted by his civil engineer. So all the civil comments are done, really the remaining comments are the photometrics and the screening and landscaping, which we don't have information on yet.
The landscape plan was submitted, everything's screened except for the south side to 18.
I don't think we've seen a landscape plan.
We should have, it was uploaded.
Because all of Doug's comments were that it was your responsibility. I never got anything from you that I'm aware of.
Yeah, so there's a 2D plan, and then I submitted 3 other shots.
Is that to me?
Yep.
Or the town?
Everybody.
Okay, I don't remember seeing it. Because it was posted as not addressed on our last 2 letters, so.
Yeah, which I was confused, because I submitted that a long time ago.
Okay, I don't remember seeing it, so.
But, yeah, everything's screened, especially I know, Jerry was worried about the ball field to the north, and, so we definitely have some 6-footers going in, but they'll get to be 30 feet tall eventually. So, those will hide the park, the building nicely once they mature. The rail side, we were talking about that's screened completely, and the west side is. On the south side, we were leaving open for a discussion because I own lot 18, and if lot 18 ends up being a multi-use property, they want to go back and forth between, I don't want to put something in for them just to take back out, they're going back and forth.
Could you resubmit that screening to Don for us?
Sure.
Yeah, so he hasn't seen it, so see to it that he gets it.
Okay.
Because based on his approval of the screening.
I came in today to make sure everything was submitted and everything was uploaded into the file.
I'm sure it was, but,
Yeah.
you know, things could happen. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's just see that he gets it, and so he can look it over, and then you got, what, photometric too?
Well, yeah, I mean, just got this.
Just had those,
When did you upload it?
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. I just did it again today, just to make sure everything was straight in the packet, in the file. You go to your iPad there. So it's labeled a 2D plan, and then there's a shot, like 2, 3, and 4, I think, is what they're labeled, the landscaping.
Let me ask you a question regarding the other lot. I understand you don't want to screen it and then rip it down.
Yeah.
Would you be open to, if that other lot is used for something else, that the screening then goes in before you're able to build on that other lot?
If that's what you're gonna require,
Well,
yeah.
makes sense. I mean,
Well,
if we're gonna waive it now, due
Mhm.
to you thinking that it's gonna be used as one lot,
it's my understanding that the interior screens are gonna come down anyway, because of the PUD is gonna be revised.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, that's a different discussion.
Okay.
Is that another meeting I missed?
No, that would have to come from the original PUD petitioner. So right now, the PUD does say side yard screening. Not sure that's necessary, but that's a different discussion.
I don't know it's necessary either, Don, I'm just, that's
Yeah.
what we talked about, that's
Yeah.
what was in the PUD,
So, I
right?
mean, as part of this, there's essentially a waiver requested to waive the side yard between 17 and 18.
Right, because he said that the thought was maybe if someone purchased the, or
Yeah.
was using the other one, it was gonna be one use, obviously you wouldn't want screening, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be a separate use, according to PUD, we would need screening, correct?
Correct.
That was my only question.
You know, if I could clear something up for you. Round Hen, 13455 Parish, obviously we're a developer who submitted the PUD. The PUD, especially in lots that are owned by the same owner, that the screening and the boundary and the setbacks all go away. So if by him owning 17 and 18, there's no, in the PUD, there's no screening required.
I don't think it reads that way,
Yeah,
that's the problem.
It's just after that section that we were talking about the other day, Don, I think it's,
I know there's a waiver for like setbacks and stuff, but I don't think it mentions screening as the problem. And like I said, I'm not necessarily against it, it's just how it's reading right now. And if we need to change it, then that's a different
well,
story.
there's been some talk about possibly clearing up that, because the intent was never to put screening between each lot in there, you know, be like every, you know, between every business. The screening was for the residential lots outside the development, you know, the ballpark, the residential lots on the, west side. There never was intent to put in between each lot. And, so we had talked to Nathan about maybe getting, maybe amend that, just because it made it more clear, because it's a little confusing with the screening between lots. But you don't see it anywhere, you know, our other industrial park in town, there's not screening between each business. You know, there's a screening where their yard lets up to residential. So, but I didn't want to, you know, there is, and it needs to be cleared up a little bit on that when you own both lots. If you buy two lots, then the boundary, I mean, the boundary is supposed to go away.
If I remember,
What's that?
if I remember right, if you like own both lots, you can actually cross over into it,
Right.
you know.
Right, and it says it in there, and like Don says, it might just be a little, it's probably needs to just be cleaned up a little bit.
I think the only where it would be needed is, I think, was intended between M1 and business units.
Yes, between B3 and M1.
Yeah, that was the only time when I think it was intended to be side yard screening between those two zoning.
All right, so for this petitioner now, then what do we need done?
I need to see if the screening was submitted, and then we need to review the photometrics.
And we could make a motion to approve contingent on John's review.
Correct.
And, I mean, he has several waiver requests, what we just discussed, so the side yard waiver.
Would it not be fair just to have Don be able to review what's left? We don't have a landscaping plan, or are we supposed to have that, and then vote in 2 weeks?
You have it on your iPads.
If you could tell me where that'd be great. Is this
I'll
it?
share up and find it.
It's on a separate,
It's in there.
Is it this lot 17?
yeah, it's right here.
Yep.
Whatever you guys wanna do, let's get going here.
Well, we scheduled a special public meeting to get some of this stuff out of the way. I mean,
Well, understood, Greg, but you just got the photometric 5 minutes ago.
but
So on the photometrics, I just highlighted that, the values that the foot candles produce, and we're not over, exceeding the 1 foot candle at the property line, and we're just lighting up the building. Trying to be conscious of, light pollution to the north with some smaller wall packs.
are you planning on starting this pretty soon?
Oh, yeah. FBI's, I ordered the building, so we're just gonna basically get approval and, for site plan, submit for permit, get permit approved, and then within the next 2-3 weeks, FBI's building's gonna be sitting on the ground there. We're gonna have 70-degree weather here in 10 days.
And the photometrics, he actually got that today himself.
Yeah.
But everything else, he's worked with Don on, you know, as far as that goes.
You just got
The comments are
photometrics
down,
today?
yeah, the comments are down, just
Yeah.
very minimal. And the photometrics can be approved even at before permitting too.
Well, I think we're holding a special meeting just to take action on this. And, I hate to say, well, we've got to defer now, let's come back in 2 weeks.
I wish it was big.
I mean, landscaping looks adequate.
And what?
It looks adequate. Just doing a quick dive on it right now.
So I would say that if we're gonna make a motion, we would make a contingent on Don's review of photometric and landscaping.
Are you doing any signage on this? Did we talk about that? No?
No.
Okay.
I'm certainly good with that.
So the screening between we're leaving alone because we said the PUD is gonna be fixed, or what?
You have to waive it. You'd have to waive it since it's still part of the PUD right now.
Waive it, because right now, that's how it's written. You
Yeah.
have to waive it, with the understanding that if the other one was built on with a different business, the screening would go in.
Yes.
F5 is a refresh.
I mean, right now, he's showing pavement all the way to the southern property line. So I'm betting there's a good intention that they're going to connect. So there's no, I mean, it's literally up to the property line. The other waiver would be pavement in the rear yard, in the north and east drainage easement too. Another waiver.
Well, they're not drainage easements because we're catching the
But
water.
they're platted easements, so
If we catch the water with the curb?
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because essentially we would have public right to get into those easements. If we have to dig anything or anything, we would have to dig up the parking lot.
Yeah, and then I would have to replace it, right?
True, but
Yeah,
we
so-
typically don't do that, so we don't have to, it basically encumbers our access. So, it's not a huge deal, because this is at the north end of our utilities, but it's just a procedural thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just do it for extra outdoor storage.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay, I'll entertain something.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Salone's rail site lot 17 site plan for a show building contingent on our engineer approving the photometric plan, the landscaping plan, and the rear yard pavement. Does that cover all the contingencies?
I would say a waiver for side yard screening to the south, assuming that the southern property owner will remain the same as this property owner.
I would add Don's comments to my motion.
I'll second it.
A motion by Mr. Parker to approve, for his comments, and, seconded by Mr. Hunley. Is there any discussion on that? If not, roll call.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Hunley?
Yes.
Ms. Sessauer?
Yes.
Mr. McLean? Mr. Sephora?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Any public comment?
Anybody online, raise your hand. Going once, going twice.
That's all. Public comment is closed. And the next planning commission meeting is March 19th, 2025 at 7 p.m. We're adjourned.